Tama,
Luca,
and Alex.
I'm Naomi. I'm Alex.
I'm Luca.
I'm Tama.
I'm Arabella, and this is our introduction. On June 4th, 2022, we arrived at the Zoo del Istmo, owned by Jack Lax in Linton Bay, Panama. This bird sanctuary had 50 species of mammals and over 450 species of birds, 140 of which were parrots. We have put together a presentation where we will showcase what we have learned about the birds, Jacobolax, and the history of the Zoo del Istmo. And thank you for the people who put together this lovely presentation for you. Meet Naomi, Tama, Luca, Alexandra, and Arabella. We hope you appreciate the work that we have put together. Sit back and enjoy. Hello, today I'll be telling you about Jacobolax, and I hope you enjoy. When Jacobo was still a little boy, he admired birds from all views. His grandparents' house had a big garden. He was usually found in the garden gazing at the beautiful birds as they flew around in the sky. All the other kids in his town were always playing sports, like soccer, basketball, and rugby. He was basically the odd boy out. His dream was to build an outstanding bird sanctuary. So when he grew up, his business built it up to a jewelry and perfume business. Soon enough, he got enough money to fulfill his dream. Amazingly, he officially built the Zoo del Istmo. Table of birds: peacocks, hummingbirds, umbrella birds, toucans, parrots, cock of the rock. Incubator. We were so lucky to be invited into where they incubate their eggs. They call it a nursery because they nurse the baby chicks until they're able to go back to their enclosures. They put the eggs in incubators so it keeps them warm and gives them a higher chance of surviving. They keep the chick in the incubator for longer once they have hatched. Cock of the rock.
The cock of the rock is native to South America. There are two types of cock of the rocks, the Andean cock of the rock and the smaller guana cock of the rock. It inhabits cloud forest areas at 500 to 2,400 meters in elevation. The exact number of cock of the rocks in the world is unknown, but they have a number of predators, including birds of prey, jaguars, pumas, ocelots, and the boa constrictors. The cock of the rock tends to forage for food on its own, although it is occasionally possible to see up to groups of 3. The diet consists mainly fruit, insects, and sometimes small frogs and reptiles. The cock of the rock is part of the Cotinga family and gets its name from building its nests on rocks and ledges. The females build their nests from mud and vegetation bound together with her own saliva, in the shape of a concave cup. Then they lay about 2 eggs in the nest and sit on them for up to 28 days. Male cock of the rocks devote a lot of energy to attracting females at communal areas called lakes. Here they display their plumage and compete with other males in remarkable duels. These confrontation displays consist of jumping, wing flapping, noisy squawking, and bill snapping. This activity intensifies if a female approaches. Cock of the rock's lifespan is up to 7 years. The oldest male that has ever lived, as pre-records, was 17 years. When we were in the aviary, Jacko showed us a little cave, and inside was a female cock of the rock, sitting on her nest, and under her was a cock of the rock egg. It was very exciting because it was very rare for this to happen. He showed everyone the egg and then he took it to the incubator. In the aviary, Jacko told us to be quiet because he had just spotted a cock of the rock standing on a branch. He took Lee and they slowly walked over to the cock of the rock. He handed Lee some papaya. Lee put his hand out and it ate it all. Lee was so happy.
Toucans.
There are 10,000 toucans in 40 different species, the biggest being the Toko toucan. They are arboreal, which means they live in hollowed-out trees usually made by woodpeckers. In a year, they lay 2 to 4 eggs and are incubated by both parents. Their diet consists of berries, fruit, rodents, and lizards. They are also monomorphic birds, which means both female and male look the same, unlike other birds that are different depending on whether they are male or female. Toucans have large beaks with many uses. Their main use is peeling fruit like mangoes or figs. They are also used to get fruit from small branches that cannot support their weight. The reason the toucans are so colorful is to camouflage in the Southern American jungles, and their colorful beak is to attract mates.
Peafowl. Peacock. A peacock is a male peafowl. It's a radiant blue bird who fans out his large graphic iridescent tail feathers when trying to attract a mate. Its train has over 200 feathers and its length can reach 6 feet. The feathers are marked with over 100 vivid, dramatic, and colorful eye-like designs. Peahen. A peahen is a female peafowl. Its feathers are a mixture of dull gray, many shades of brown, and green, unlike the traditional male peacock. The female displays her plumage not to attract, but to scare off female competition or to signal danger to her children, which are called pea-chicks. Facts about peafowls. Most commonly, when the male is trying to attract a mate, the visiting female peahen will stop directly in front of the male peacock, providing her the ability to assess the male at 90 degrees to the surface of the feathers. Then the male will turn and display his feathers about 45 degrees to the sun, which allows the sunlight to reflect the iridescent off his train. If the female chooses to interact with the male, he will then turn to face her and shiver his train so as to begin the mating process. The mating process is much different from other birds. The peahen gets pregnant after she swallows the tears of a peacock. After the male and female breed, the female will lay an egg daily for 6 to 13 days naturally, then will sit on her eggs to hatch. If the eggs are removed regularly from the nest to incubate, she may keep laying for about a month. The eggs need 28 to 30 days of incubation time before it can hatch. The lifespan of a peafowl is 10 to 25 years, but when it's in captivity, it can reach 50 years old.
Hummingbirds. Next, we have hummingbirds. Let's begin. Hummingbirds are small birds that prefer living in the rainforests and are native to the equator of South America. There are more than 330 species of hummingbirds in the world. Hummingbirds have long needle-like bills that help reach into small areas to collect nectar. They collect nectar from flowers. They manage to drink nectar while they are flying. Hummingbirds can fly sideways and backwards. They flap their wings so fast that human eyes only see a blur of wings. While flapping their wings, the beating of the wings against the air creates a humming sound. Of all birds, the ruby-throated hummingbird has the fastest wing beat, 200 times a second. Hummingbirds consume about half their body weight in bugs and nectar. They also like to eat spiders. They feed every 10 to 15 minutes and visit 1,000 to 2,000 flowers a day. Umbrella bird. Next, we have umbrella birds. Funny looking, but pretty cool. All three species are relatively similar in appearance, with an umbrella-like crest on the top of their head. They fan out their crest so that it covers their whole head, and then they start to make a rumbling sound to attract the females during mating season. The umbrella bird is found throughout the subtropical belt of Central and South America. And the long-walled umbrella bird, the Amazonian umbrella bird, and the bare-necked umbrella bird all live there. Umbrella birds can fly only short distances, and they tend to be relatively slow and clunky in the air. Umbrella birds are thought to live for an average of 16 years in the wild, and they eat fruit, large insects, and sometimes small vertebrates. The nest is made of moss, leaves, and twigs. The nest is made far from the ground so it can be well protected from predators over the egg. Monkeys and snakes are the primary predators of the umbrella birds.
Parrots. Next up is parrots. Many birds grip food in their feet, but only parrots can hold their food up to their beaks, just like us humans with our hand. The smallest parrot is the buff-faced pygmy parrot, which is only 3 inches. That's like the size of your finger. Many species are monogamous and spend their lives with only one mate. They taste with the top of their mouth. Because they don't have tongues, they taste it with their top mouth. Of the roughly known 350 known species of parrots, most live in the tropical islands, but one of them lives in New Zealand at nests in the ground barrows. A third of the world's parrots face extinction due to the habitat of destruction and people willingly doing pet trade. The population in Ghana treating whale numbers for one of the most iconic parrot species. Parrot feathers contain an antibacterial pigment, piscophyllins, a bacteria-resistant pigment that are known to give the bird's feathers their red, yellow, and green coloration, which is really interesting, I know. Little is known about a wild parrot. GPS tracking studies that the parrot should just simply take off the GPS tracker from their body. Just like if you're trying to get tracked, you can just take off the tracker like plump, which is really weird. There are more than 370 species of parrots. I think there are less species of humans than parrots. Parrots are the most intelligent bird on the planet. See? So intelligent. They're so smart. Some parrots live up to 80 years old. And some even live up to 100. One has lived up to 107 years old. Parrot chicks stay blind for the first 2 weeks of their lives, which is interesting. For some species of parrots, the only way to tell its gender is through a blood test. Parrots in the wild are most likely not to mimic speech because they haven't learned anything. All parrots lay white eggs. You find a yellow egg, it's not from a parrot, not a pirate. Parrots usually sleep on one leg. I wonder how they get their balance. Anyways, the world's largest parrot cannot fly due to the weight up to 9 pounds.
Our thoughts about the zoo.
Hi guys, today I'll be saying my favorite part of the sanctuary. Let's begin. Jacobo takes so much time with the animals. They're like a big family. It's crazy he makes so much time from his day to be with the animals. It touched my heart. The animals are so pretty. I had mixed feelings. I was happy because he was saving species of
of the birds and animals. But I was also sad because they were in cages. Overall, I really enjoyed myself. And my favorite part was the parrot that said hola and the little monkey. That is my that is my favorite part, and I hope you enjoy it.
It was a very awesome experience. It was very generous that Jacko invited us to his place and committed so much of his time showing us around. There were so many birds and other animals to see. One of my highlights for me was a macaw that said hola a lot, but my favorite part was the aviary, with so many beautiful plants and birds that could fly around freely. I found a small egg and gave it to Susan so she could put it in the incubator.
June 4th, we went to Zoo del Istmo and got a tour of Jacko's large bird collection, thanks to Grant and Delphine. We saw over 300 birds and some other animals, like wolves, leopards, and even some monkeys. It was really awesome. My favorite was probably the toucans. They were pretty awesome looking and small. While we were there, we held baby birds and learned about the incubator. We all loved it.
I was incredibly excited before we went to the sanctuary because Jacobo worked so hard on it, and I think it's amazing how people take animals into captivity to breed into a non-extinctive species. How he comes in every day to check on the animals and to see if they're okay is so sweet and caring. My favorite place was the aviary because there were so many trees and flowers for the birds to fly around. The different breeds make the aviary feel very natural and make the birds' habitat feel like home, though some have never seen their natural habitat or the forest. There are little nooks where the birds can nest, and we surprisingly found several eggs. One of them was a 1 in 1,000 chance of an egg, and that was amazing. This experience was great, and the place was beautiful. I hope to do it again, and we're so lucky. I felt curious, excited, and scared when we first arrived. I was curious about how he got all of the birds, and I was excited to see all the birds he had. But I was also scared. Whatever could happen to me might happen. Like if a parrot pecked me hard. All these thoughts were terribly frightening. Suddenly, while I was watching all of the birds, I began feeling impressed with this man's work. Some of these birds were super rare, and there was one bird in the sanctuary that no one else in the world had. I immediately felt bad when I saw a small little black bird lying on the ground dead. I picked it up and decided to become his mother. And I named him Blackjack. I was asked to build a little grave for him, but I was tempted to keep Blackjack. But either way, Blackjack was a gamble. once-in-a-lifetime experience. We had lots of fun watching the birds fluttering around. Jacobo Lax was very kind to us when we arrived to his bird sanctuary. We enjoyed his zoo very much. We were filled with awe when we heard how he saved the endangered birds in his zoo. We thanked him for using his time to teach us about birds. We hope you enjoyed the presentation we showcased upon you. Thank you for listening to our project about Jacobo Lax, Sanctuary Zoo del Istmo.